sidelines until after the bye.
We don't really want to risk him, and you don't want to, I suppose, put him out for longer, and I suppose the back end of the year.
Well, Fremantle's Ryan Crowley says he's still feeling pretty raw after being handed a 12-month ban, which is likely to end his AFL career. The Dockers tagger tested positive to methadone and won't be eligible to play until September the 24th. He says he'll continue to train by himself until he's allowed back at the club.
Yeah, this is obviously pretty raw, and I wasn't sure what the outcome was going to be, so I've got some thinking to do. I'll just make sure that I'm fit, we'll make that decision at the end of the year.
And Steve Smith has again been the star of the show for the Aussies on day one of the second test against the West Indies in Jamaica. He's just made his 100. The Aussies 4 for 219 a short time ago. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA forecast.
Be floored by Urban. The beauty of natural timber made better. Visit buyurban.com.au.
Mostly sunny today with a top of 18. Tomorrow a possible shower at 19. Sunday rain at times, 17. Rain at times also for Monday, 18. Then a shower or two Tuesday and a possible shower Wednesday and Thursday with temps in the mid-teens. Currently 4 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Pick up a Chrysler 300C luxury with leather interior, advanced safety technologies and 20-inch alloys for just $48,000 drive away. This is 5AA Breakfast.
6:36. Good morning, everyone. 5AA is giving you the chance to win tickets to see Adelaide Symphony Orchestra's Great Classic 2 Symphony and Song. That's at the Adelaide Festival Theatre on Saturday, the 27th of June. So stay with us for that. I'll give you a little bit more detail, a little bit later on in the show. And also, we're celebrating the very best of SA with iconic businesses that have been around for a long, long time. And today, we shine the spotlight right on West End Draft. Looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Nothing wrong with a West End at the West End of the day. Well, it's time now to cross over to our good friend Selwyn Manning in New Zealand. Selwyn is the editor of EveningReport.nz, and we talk to him every Friday. Good morning, Selwyn. How are you going, mate?
Yeah, very good, Dave.
Selwyn, look, over the last couple of years, due largely to the work of WikiLeaks, the lid has been lifted on the often murky world of espionage and surveillance by the world's different intelligence agencies. And your Prime Minister, John Key, has made an interesting admission over the last day or so.
He has. It's only a month after revelations that New Zealand's signal spy agency, the GCSB, had been hacking and spied on governments of friendly Asian nations. Our Prime Minister, John Key, he admitted that he expects that he has been spied on as well, Dave. Now, on Thursday, Key, he said he suspects his cell phone could be used by overseas spies to listen in on meetings he attends. So he's pretty mindful of that. Apparently he chucks it to the side or he ditches it. And a direct quote from our brilliant man here, he says, I kind of work on the principle that I will be listened to at some point. So I have, without being stupid about it, more security on my phone than most people have, but it doesn't mean that you can't break into it, end of quote. Now, what he's going on about there is he reckons that his cell phone could very easily be used as a microphone for anyone who wished to actually listen into his meetings and conversations, etc., etc. So he says he replaces his cell phone every 3 months, and he's very mindful of his security. It's making a little bit of a rise here, this particular issue, Dave, because it does sound like a little bit of our Prime Minister saying, well, they all do it, so don't hit me because we're doing it to them.
Yeah, well, that was certainly the debate here in Australia a couple of years ago when it emerged that we'd been eavesdropping not just on the then Indonesian President Yudhoyono, but also listening in on his wife's conversations too.
Brilliant stuff, isn't it? It's a pity it's not kind of republished in some of our magazines.
Yeah, find out what Mrs. Yudhoyono was bringing home for dinner. And mate, look, this is one of those stories that really touches people's hearts. The wonderful New Zealand champion Racehorse Bonecrusher died this week at the age of 33 years. In fact, before we talk about that, we might have a bit of a listen to Bonecrusher back in 1986, where it famously won the Cox Plate.
Here's Bill Collins.
Bonecrusher responds to the whip, the roars of the crowd. He races up to our Waverley Star, 100 out. Bonecrusher, our Waverley Star, stride for stride, nothing in it. Our Waverley Star, the rails, Bonecrusher the outside, and Bonecrusher races into equine immortality.
Yeah, it's a good line there, equine immortality. It was an amazing horse.
Yeah, amazing kind of thing, and such a wonderful call. Your man was doing on that race too. Dave, the marvellous thing about Bonecrusher too was that he came from humble bloodlines. He only was purchased as a yearling for 3,000 New Zealand dollars. Became a superstar here in New Zealand, a household name. Amassed more than $3 million worth of winnings just in a very short time, really. As a 3-year-old. Bonecrusher won the New Zealand Derby, the Air New Zealand Stakes, the Tancred Stakes, and the AJC Derby here in New Zealand. As a 4-year-old, of course, he really got his stride, and he won 5 big races, including 4 Australian Group runs. The record goes that the Underwood Stakes, Caulfield Stakes, the Cox Plate, which you just played there, and the Australian Cup. And over the side of the ditch, Dave, he's best remembered perhaps, or it's considered his best race, was when he beat the Melbourne Cup winner at Tallac. Remember that horse? Bonecrusher beat him for the Australian Cup at Flemington. Fantastic horse, great nature, always. I met him myself, actually. An old schoolmate of mine, Gregory Pope, used to drive him around New Zealand, going to different galas and different shows and things like that. And I remember him, it was around about the time when O.J. Simpson was on trial. It was around about in the 90s there. And there was Bonecrusher at one of these AMP shows, and Greg had him on his halter there. And I went over and I was having a chat. The horse was... sometimes you're in the presence of something and you think, oh, this is really special. And Big Red was standing there. He's a huge horse. They reckon his heart was as big as Farlap. And, and Greg just said he's just marvellous. The kids were hugging him. It was just a marvellous thing. Now, he passed away not because his heart was giving up or anything like that, or his attitude. He was put to sleep this week, Dave, because his hooves were giving out with one of those diseases that racehorses sometimes get. Another big horse here from some years ago, not too long ago, but Sunline died of the same thing. And he's buried. He's already buried at Ellerslie Racecourse, and a monument is going to be erected in his honour on that spot.
Oh wow, it's a very nice story, and it's amazing the way he was sort of treated like a rock star when he was being driven around, and all the kids wanted to hug him.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing, Not a lot of them get to do that, and he would stand there and he'd have his Champions cover on, often blue. And you could tell he just knew he was something special. And like I was saying, he came from a real humble bloodline.
Yeah.
One that wouldn't have been... Look, by memory, I think he was named Bonecrusher because that's where he was destined to go.
Yeah, right. Geez, you'd like to be the person who paid $3,000 for him. I reckon you'd be laughing all the way to the bank. Hey, always great to talk to you. Selwyn Manning, the editor of EveningReport.nz.
Yeah, 624 Bonecrusher, wonderful hook. Became a real recluse later in his life, though. Hardly went out. Let's head to police media now. Vanessa Kelly is one of the senior constables. Hi, Vanessa.
Good morning.
Hey, Vanessa, you guys have issued a traffic warning for the city today because of the Red Nose Day parade, which is a terrific